For 1,000 years, Earth was quiet. People lived in peace. There were no wars, no fighting, and no hate. Humans worked together to build a better world. Cities floated in the sky. Oceans were clean and full of life. Even Mars had forests, rivers, and fresh air. Earth was not just a home, it was a dream come true. In those years, people stopped making weapons. Soldiers became teachers, doctors, and artists. The sky was full of ships, but none of them were made for war. These ships explored the stars, made friends on other planets, and learned new things. Humans had changed. They were smarter, kinder, and stronger. But one morning, something strange happened. A loud sound came from deep space. It was picked up by the Horizon Array, a giant space scanner floating beyond Neptune. The signal was not natural. It was not friendly. It was a message from someone else. Something big was coming. It was a fleet of alien ships, and they were not coming in peace. Captain Daniel Cross stood in front of a large screen. He was the leader of the Earth Watch Defense Team. He looked calm, even though the message on the screen said one clear thing: surrender or be destroyed. Many people around him were afraid, but Daniel smiled. He had been waiting for this moment. So had the rest of Earth. The alien fleet was called the Drexari Dominion. They were known across space for taking over planets. They used fear, power, and speed. They expected every world to bow down and give up. But they had never met humans like this before. Daniel sent back one short message: "You should have come 1,000 years ago." In New Tokyo, Leah Monroe worked with the Earth Defense Command. She was smart and fast. She started a plan called Operation Mirror Storm. Thousands of tiny drones flew up from the ground into the sky. They were quiet, fast, and deadly. On Mars, huge railguns powered by fusion energy began to glow. Earth's defenses, hidden for centuries underwater, land, and sky, came alive. The people of Earth were not afraid. They were ready. The alien fleet did not stop. They reached the edge of the solar system and attacked Juno Station near Jupiter. But before they could cause damage, invisible satellites around the station sent out strong energy waves. These waves made the alien ships lose control. Lights on their ships flickered. Their weapons stopped working. Then came the counterattack. From Mars, Commander Ray Donovan sent out the Nexus Spears. These were giant weapons that moved like falling stars. When they hit the alien ships, the sky lit up. 3 Drexari ships were destroyed in seconds. The rest tried to move back, but Earth's defense systems followed them. The aliens were shocked. No planet had ever hit them like this. Earth was not just fighting back, it was enjoying the battle. On Earth, people were watching the fight from their homes. Children pointed at the sky and cheered. New screens showed every move. Instead of fear, people felt joy. After 1,000 years of peace, they were not weak. They were strong in a new way. Daniel Cross looked out the window of the command center. He saw the stars, calm and beautiful. He knew this was only the beginning, but he also knew that Earth would not lose. The aliens had come to scare them, but they had come too late. Humanity was not just ready, it was smiling. The Drexari fleet moved closer to Earth. Their ships were large and dark. They looked like flying mountains with red lights. Inside the lead ship, Drexari soldiers prepared their weapons. They thought this would be easy. They had taken over many planets. They believed Earth would be just another win. But Earth was not afraid. In fact, people were still smiling. The Drexari had no idea what was waiting for them. In a large building in New Tokyo, Leah Monroe gave quick orders. Her team worked without panic. Operation Mirror Storm had started. Tiny drones flew high into the sky. They moved like birds, but faster than the eye could see. Each drone had a smart brain and could fight on its own. On Mars, the railguns were ready again. They were hidden under the red dust, silent but deadly. These weapons could shoot with the power of a falling star. One shot could destroy a ship in seconds. Earth had built them not for war, but to be ready for anything. In space, the Drexari made their next move. They sent smaller attack ships toward Earth's moon. They wanted to test Earth's power. They expected weak resistance. But the moment their ships came close, something strange happened. A wave of energy hit them. It came from secret satellites hidden near the moon. These satellites were built by humans many years ago and left in deep space. When the Drexari ships were hit, their systems went dark. Their screens turned off. Their engines stopped. The ships floated like dead fish in water. Back on Earth, people watched everything on their screens. News showed the pictures from space. Families in cities and farms smiled. Children laughed. Old people clapped. Some even made jokes about the Drexari. It was not fear. It was fun. In the control room, Captain Daniel Cross looked calm. He stood tall as he watched the enemy ships struggle. His voice was steady as he spoke to the team. They thought we forgot how to fight. They were wrong. Then came the next surprise. A group of Drexari warships reached Earth's orbit. They started to fire. Red energy beams shot toward the planet. But before they could hit the ground, the sky changed. Shields round the cities lit up. These shields bent the energy away like a mirror. Nothing touched the ground. Skyships flew fast to meet the Drexari. They were not normal planes. They moved with grace, dancing between attacks. Each one had weapons that could find weak points in the enemy ships. Within minutes, 2 more Drexari ships were gone. Deep under Alaska, something big was waking up. In a control room covered in ice and metal, a man named Ethan Cole pressed a button. Huge doors opened under the sea. From the darkness came tall metal machines. They walked on the ocean floor, glowing with blue lights. These machines were not just tools. They could think, move, and fight on their own. In Africa, Nora Lane ran a control tower in Nairobi. Her job was to block enemy signals. She smiled as her system sent powerful jamming waves into space. The Drexari tried to talk to each other, but all they heard was noise. Their plans were breaking down. The battle became one-sided. Earth was not losing. Earth was winning with style. The Drexari had come expecting fear. Instead, they met laughter, music, and perfect defenses. One news anchor in New York even joked on live screen. They picked the wrong planet. Daniel Cross nodded as he heard that. He looked at the stars again. The fight was not over, but the message was clear. Earth had changed. Peace had made it strong. And now the galaxy was learning just how strong humans could be when they smiled in the face of danger. The Drexari were angry now. They had never lost a fight so quickly. On other planets, they were feared. People had run away or begged for mercy. But Earth was different. Earth was calm. Earth was strong. And worst of all, Earth was smiling. The alien leader, Commander Vex Tower, stood in his ship. He looked at the screens showing Earth's defense. He could not understand it. The humans looked soft, but they were not. Their weapons were better than Drexari technology. Their ships moved faster. Their minds were sharp. Vex Tower ordered a full attack. All Drexari ships were to focus on Earth's main cities. He wanted to break their spirit. He wanted to show power. The ships moved quickly toward Earth. Their weapons were ready. They planned to attack from the sky and destroy everything below. But Earth was waiting. Above Earth, thousands of drones moved into place. They worked like a giant net. Each drone sent a signal. To the others, they shared data, tracked targets, and stayed out of danger. As soon as the alien ships entered, the drones attacked. They didn't fire just one weapon. They used smart bombs, electric waves, and laser cuts. The Drexari ships were hit from all sides. In New York, the sky lit up. People looked up and saw the battle. But no one ran. No one screamed. They trusted the defense. And they were right. High above the city, a Drexari ship exploded. The sound was deep, like thunder. Then another ship fell from the sky. It hit the ocean and sank fast. The waves rose, but the coast shields kept the water back. On Mars, Commander Ray Donovan saw the data. He smiled and gave the next order. The Nexus spears fired again. These huge weapons moved faster than sound. They flew straight through to Drexari cruisers. The ships broke apart like paper in the wind. The aliens began to panic. They tried to pull back, but the sky was full of Earth's machines. They could not hide. They could not win. Leah Monroe watched from the defense center in New Tokyo. Her team worked fast. They tracked every move the aliens made. Leah spoke to Captain Cross. They are trying to escape. Daniel Cross looked at the map. Let them try, he said. But make sure they remember this day. Over the Pacific Ocean, the biggest Drexari ship appeared. It was called the Varnuk. It was as big as a city. It had more weapons than any other ship in the fleet. The Varnuk began to fire at Earth's gravity system. It wanted to shut it down and make Earth weak. But Earth had a surprise. Under the ocean, special machines came online. These were gravity pullers. They were hidden deep in the sea. When the Varnuk fired, the pullers pushed back. Then they reversed the flow. The ship started to move, not up, but down. The Varnuk fell. It crashed into the ocean with a blast. The water shook, but Earth's coast shields held strong. Underwater drones moved quickly. They covered the ship with nets and began to break it apart. In cities around the world, people cheered. They danced in the streets. They made songs and jokes about the Drexari. Children drew pictures of Earth beating the aliens. It was more than a victory. It was a story the world would never forget. Captain Cross stood in the control room. He watched the last Drexari ships disappear from the radar. He nodded slowly. They never expected this, he said. Leah Monroe smiled. They came to scare us, but we showed them something better. We showed them what peace can do. The sky was quiet again, but the people of Earth knew it was a new beginning. They had won without fear. They had won with strength, with heart, and with joy. The Drexari ships were broken. Their strongest ship, the Varnuk, had fallen into the ocean. Their smaller ships were destroyed or running away. But Earth was not finished yet. The leaders wanted to make sure the Drexari would never forget this day. From secret bases under the ground, new machines came up. These machines looked like giants. They walked on two legs and had arms like cranes. They were tall, fast, and very smart. People called them the Sentinels. Each Sentinel had a mind of its own. It could think and fight without help. They were made many years ago, in case Earth ever faced a danger like this. The Sentinels moved toward the wreck of the Varnuk. Under the water, they used lights and tools to cut the broken ship into pieces. Inside the ship, the Drexari soldiers were trapped. The Sentinels opened the doors and pulled them out one by one. But they didn't hurt them. Earth didn't want revenge. It wanted to send a message. In the city of Nairobi, Nora Lane watched the sky. Her jammers were still sending strong waves into space. No Drexari message could get through. They were cut off from each other. Their systems were useless. They couldn't call for help. Nora spoke to her team. Keep the signal strong, she said. We don't want them to get smart now. In Earth's command center, Captain Daniel Cross looked at the world map. The defense grid was still active. All cities were safe. Not one child had been hurt. He turned to Leah Monroe. "Let's end this the right way." Leah nodded. She opened a communication channel. It sent a message to every Drexari ship still floating in orbit. Her voice was calm and clear. "You came to take our world. You failed. We do not want your destruction. But if you stay, you will lose more. Leave now. This is your only chance." There was silence. Then, one by one, the remaining Drexari ships turned. They moved slowly, limping away from Earth. Their engines were weak. Their pride was gone. In homes across Earth, people watched the Drexari retreat. Some clapped, others sang. There was no hate in their eyes, only joy and relief. A boy in Canada made a drawing of a smiling Earth kicking an alien ship. His mother put it on the wall. In Brazil, a man played a song on his guitar called "The Day We Laughed at the Sky." People all over the world joined together in celebration. Back in space, Earth's satellites followed the Drexari ships. They made sure the ships left the solar system. When the last ship was gone, the system sent a final message. It was short: "Do not return." Daniel Cross looked out at the stars. He felt proud. Earth had faced a great danger, and it had not become a monster. It had stayed true to its values. Leah Monroe sat beside him. She said, "We showed them that peace is not weakness. Peace is strength." Daniel nodded, and we reminded ourselves too. Ethan Cole, who led the Sentinels from Alaska, spoke to the defense team. "They will tell stories about this day," he said, "and they will speak of how humans smiled when the sky turned dark." The Earth slowly returned to normal. Shields were lowered. Ships landed. The drones came back to their bases. But the memory stayed in every heart. Earth had not fired first. It had not asked for war. But when war came, it had answered with unity, courage, and light. And now, far away in space, the Drexari flew in silence. They had never known fear before, but now they did. They had met a planet that had turned peace into power. They had met humans, and they would never forget them. Even though the Drexari were gone, Earth did not go back to normal right away. The sky was quiet, but the people still talked about what happened. It was not fear that filled their words. It was pride. Something big had happened. The world had changed in every city. People celebrated. There were lights in the sky. Music played from rooftops. People danced in the streets. Children wore costumes that looked like skyships and sentinels. They acted out the battle, pretending to protect Earth from the alien fleet. News screens showed videos from space. People watched the Varnic crash into the ocean again and again. Some artists painted huge pictures of the scene. One painting in Paris showed a smiling Earth standing tall while the Drexari ran away. On the internet, jokes and stories spread fast. People made songs, games, and short films. One message became famous across the world. It said, "They came to scare us, but we made them a memory." Captain Daniel Cross stood in a garden in California. He had not taken a break since the battle began. Now, the sun was warm on his face. He looked up at the clear sky. His daughter ran across the grass with her friends, laughing. He turned to Leah Monroe, who had come to visit. "It feels strange," he said. "All that fire, and now the world is calm again." Leah smiled. "We trained for war, but we fought with peace." On Mars, Commander Ray Donovan gave a speech to a group of young students. He told them about the battle and how Earth had stayed strong without hate. "You must remember," he said, "we didn't win because we were angry. We won because we were ready and we were united." In Alaska, Ethan Cole checked the Sentinels one last time. They stood still now, resting in their deep chambers under the sea. He placed his hand on one of them. "Thank you," he whispered. "Sleep well." Nora Lane from Nairobi sat in a small cafe. People came to thank her. Some gave her flowers. A little girl gave her a drawing of a shield over the earth. Nora laughed and hugged the girl. But while people celebrated, the Earth leaders met again. They knew this might not be the end. The Drexari might return. Other enemies might come one day. So they talked about new plans. Daniel Cross led the meeting. "We protected our world," he said. "Now we must protect our peace. Not with fear, but with wisdom." They started new programs. Young people were invited to learn about space, defense, and peace building. New satellites were launched to watch the stars. The Sentinels were upgraded with better systems. But Earth made one rule clear: they would never attack first. People across the world agreed. Earth had become a symbol of peace and strength. It had shown the galaxy that power does not need to destroy. It can protect. It can lift others up. Soon, messages came from far planets. Other alien races had seen what happened. Some sent greetings. Some asked for friendship. Earth answered all of them with open hands. A new station was built above the moon. It was called the Unity Ring. People from Earth and other worlds worked there together. They shared stories, music, and science. It became a place of hope. Daniel Cross stood on the deck of the Unity Ring, looking at Earth. He took a deep breath. "We laughed in the face of danger," he said. "And now, we smile toward the stars." And so, Earth moved forward, not as a planet afraid of war, but as a home that turned peace into the strongest shield in the galaxy. The message of Earth's strength traveled fast across the stars. Many planets had watched the battle. They had expected Earth to fall. But instead, they saw something no one had seen before. A world that stayed calm, a people who smiled during war, a planet that turned defense into something beautiful. On a faraway Drexari station, Commander Vex Towler sat in silence. His ship was gone. His army was broken. He watched the replay of the battle again and again. He could not understand. How did Earth defeat them without fear or hate? His officers stood behind him, waiting for orders. But Vex had no new plan. He spoke slowly. "We thought peace made them soft, but peace made them sharp." The Drexari Council asked him what happened. He told them the truth. They did not fight like us. They did not run or scream. They stood tall. They laughed. They showed joy in the storm. We cannot beat that. Back on Earth, people were busy building again. But this time, they were not just building for themselves. They were helping others too. Earth had become a light in the galaxy, a place where peace was not just a dream, but a way of life. In schools, children learned about the Drexari attack, but the lessons were not about hate. They were about hope. Teachers explained how unity and kindness had kept Earth safe. Children asked questions. They wanted to understand, not blame. Leah Monroe spoke at one of these schools. "We didn't win because we had better weapons," she said. "We won because we stayed true to who we are." Captain Daniel Cross visited a spaceport in South America. It was full of people from many countries. Some were training to become space pilots. Others were working on new starships. Daniel watched them with pride. "Look at them," he said to a young officer. "They are not training to fight. They are training to protect." That is the difference. On the moon, the Unity Ring was growing. More visitors came every day. Some were from nearby planets. Others traveled from very far places. They came not just to meet humans, but to learn from them. One alien leader said, "You are not what we thought. You do not seek war. You seek peace." And that is power. Earth shared its knowledge freely. It taught others how to build shields, how to grow food in space, how to use energy without harm. People from different planets sat together, ate together, and worked together. Nora Lane ran a new communication center there. She smiled as she watched messages from across the stars. Some messages were serious, some were funny, all were full of respect. She said to her team, "We were alone for a long time. Not anymore. Now we are part of something bigger." Ethan Cole visited the deep sea vault where the Sentinels rested. He walked among them, checking their systems. They were quiet now, like sleeping giants. He spoke softly. "You woke when we needed you, and you will rest until we need you again." Ray Donovan led a group of Martian engineers. They were building a new kind of space station, one that could move between stars. He told them, "We explore not to conquer, but to connect. That is our mission now." At the end of that year, people across Earth and many other planets celebrated a new holiday. They called it Unity Day. It was not about war. It was about what came after. Families lit lights. Children told stories. Music filled the skies. One song played everywhere. The words were simple. We stood. We smiled. We stayed. And peace lit the way. Daniel Cross stood on a hill, looking at the stars. He was not alone. Behind him were leaders, friends, and children from many worlds. He said, "This is just the beginning." And everyone believed him. A new age had begun. Earth was no longer just a planet with peace. It had become a guide for others. The story of the Drexari attack and Earth as answer had reached the far ends of the galaxy. Many who once feared Earth now wanted to learn from it. In a large hall on the Unity Ring, people and aliens sat side by side. They listened to stories from different worlds. Some told of long wars. Some told of dreams they had almost forgotten. One old alien said, "We thought peace was impossible, but you showed us it can shine even in battle." Leah Monroe stood and spoke. Her voice was calm. "We did not plan to fight, but we were ready, and we were ready not just with weapons, but with love for our world and for each other." That made the difference. More worlds began to join Earth in its mission. Together, they started the Unity Network. It was not a group for war. It was for safety, for peace, and for sharing. Each member promised to help others, to listen before fighting, and to never strike first. Captain Daniel Cross helped lead the council. He had become more than a soldier. He was now a voice for the whole Earth. He still wore his old jacket, a sign of where he came from. But his words carried more than commands. They carried hope. On Earth, Unity Day became the most important event of the year. People remembered not the fear, but the moment they stood strong. The skies filled with light. Drones danced in the air. Ships flew in formations like birds. The sound of music reached the stars. Children dressed as sky pilots and sentinels. They told the story of how humans laughed when aliens came. In homes, people shared food, stories, and dreams of the future. Ray Donovan opened a school on Mars. It trained new space leaders, but it also taught kindness, wisdom, and how to speak with other species. He told his students, "You carry Earth's heart with you. Never let it grow cold." Ethan Cole made a museum under the sea. There, people could see the real Sentinels. Still standing tall, visitors walked through long glass tunnels. They looked at the machines that had helped save Earth. Ethan guided tours and told them, these were made not to destroy, but to protect. Remember that. Nora Lane continued her work on the Unity Ring. She helped build peaceful communication between different worlds. She became known as the voice of Earth. Her messages were short but powerful. We hear you. We see you. We welcome you. Even the Drexari changed. After their defeat, they did not return to war. Instead, they asked to listen. They sent learners, not soldiers. Slowly, they started to understand. Peace was not weakness. It was strength that could not be broken. One Drexar youth visited Earth and spoke at a school. "We were taught to fear you," he said. "Now I see why we should have learned from you instead." Daniel Cross spent his final years teaching young leaders. He planted trees and wrote books. One of his books was called The Day We Smiled. It became a symbol of Earth's victory and message. When he passed, people across the stars remembered him. His voice, his calm, his strength. But more than anything, they remembered his smile. His final words were shared in every language. "Let peace be your shield. Let joy be your strength." Now, across the galaxy, new stars were being born. New worlds were opening their doors. And in each of them, a small part of Earth lived on. Because once, after 1,000 years of peace, aliens had attacked, and humanity had laughed in their face. And the stars still carried that laughter.